Diddy's world seems to be collapsing faster than anyone could have imagined. Over the past several months, his name has been linked with one controversy after another, but the latest reports paint an even darker picture. What started as whispers in the industry has now snowballed into front-page news, with fans, critics, and even some of his closest allies questioning how much longer he can withstand the pressure. Behind the flashing lights and luxury lifestyle, there's a growing storm of lawsuits, investigations, and allegations that have left the once untouchable mogul looking more vulnerable than ever. It's not just about music anymore. It's about legacy, reputation, and whether he can salvage what's left before everything collapses. For years, Diddy built an empire that stretched far beyond hip-hop. He was hailed as a businessman, a cultural icon, and someone who turned his hustle into an entire brand. But now, the empire that seemed unshakable is cracking under the weight of serious accusations, financial struggles, and the growing sentiment that his time at the top may finally be over. Some outlets have even hinted that major partnerships are being reconsidered, while insiders claim that his circle has grown smaller, with many distancing themselves from the chaos. For fans who grew up admiring his rise from Harlem to global fame, it's heartbreaking to watch this slow-motion collapse, but the truth is becoming harder to ignore. At the same time, Jay-Z, another name synonymous with hip-hop dominance and business savvy, is making headlines of his own, though not for the reasons his team might have hoped. His ambitious move into the casino business was initially celebrated as yet another example of how far hip-hop culture has come, breaking barriers in industries that were once impossible to enter. But instead of applause, this latest venture has raised eyebrows and sparked heated debate. Critics argue that introducing a massive casino project in an already struggling community could do more harm than good. While supporters frame it as a bold economic move that could bring jobs and investment, detractors warn that it could also lead to addiction problems, financial strain for vulnerable families, and the exploitation of those who can least afford it. Jay-Z has built his reputation on being a visionary, a strategist who knows how to flip opportunities into generational wealth, but this time, the public is divided. Social media is flooded with mixed reactions, with some praising his courage to push into uncharted territory, while others accuse him of prioritizing profits over people. The irony is that Jay-Z has always positioned himself as someone who empowers communities, invests in social change, and builds opportunities for the underrepresented. Yet now the very people who once championed his every move are questioning whether he's out of touch. It's a reminder that even the biggest names in the industry are not immune to criticism when their decisions affect ordinary lives. Meanwhile, across the Atlantic, the United Kingdom is facing a completely different kind of turmoil, one that speaks to the broader unrest bubbling around the world. What started as isolated protests has now expanded into something much larger, reflecting the deep frustrations of ordinary citizens who feel ignored, undervalued, and left behind. The images coming out of the UK show streets packed with demonstrators, chanting, carrying signs, and demanding change. Rising costs of living, stagnant wages, political scandals, and a sense of widening inequality have fueled a movement that refuses to be silenced. People are fed up with promises that never materialize and leaders who seem more focused on power struggles than on solving real problems. This unrest is not just about one issue. It's about years of built-up anger boiling over, and the government now finds itself under immense pressure to act. For young people in particular, the frustration is palpable. Many feel that opportunities are shrinking, housing is unaffordable, and education doesn't guarantee stability anymore. The sense of being trapped in a system that doesn't work for them has pushed thousands into the streets, their voices echoing across cities and drawing international attention. What's happening in the UK is part of a larger global trend. People everywhere are demanding accountability, fairness, and real solutions, not just political speeches and empty gestures. Taken together, these three stories show us a picture of a world in flux. Diddy's downfall reminds us that no amount of fame can protect you when accountability comes knocking. Jay-Z's casino controversy highlights the delicate balance between business innovation and social responsibility, and how even celebrated icons can face backlash when their choices don't align with public values. The unrest in the UK reveals the growing discontent that is sweeping across societies, fueled by inequality and disillusionment. These aren't just isolated headlines. They are part of a bigger narrative about power, responsibility, and the shifting expectations of the public. Fans, citizens, and consumers are more vocal than ever, and the people who once seemed untouchable are now being held to higher standards. The world is changing, and those who lead it, whether in music, business, or politics, are being forced to adapt or risk being left behind. What makes this moment so fascinating is how interconnected these issues really are. At the heart of each story is a question of trust. Can we trust our icons to live up to the values they preach? Can we trust business leaders to prioritize people over profits? Can we trust governments to put citizens first instead of playing games of power? These questions don't have easy answers, but the conversations they spark are critical. In a world where social media amplifies every misstep, and where communities demand real accountability, the gap between image and reality is shrinking fast. For Diddy, the challenge is whether he can survive the storm, or whether his empire will crumble completely. For Jay-Z, it's whether he can prove that his casino project is truly beneficial, and not just another way for the wealthy to profit at the expense of the poor. For the UK, it's whether leaders can actually listen to their people and make changes before the unrest spirals out of control. The stakes are high, and the world is watching closely.